to Signature Tube. My name is Ben Schachter, broker and president of the Signature Real Estate Companies. It is overwhelmingly exciting for me today to have one of my dearest friends and one of the top industry professionals joining us, Mr. Greg Gefen, the CEO, the attorney, the owner, the chief of Signature Title Group. Also, Gregory Gefen, PA, top attorney here in South Florida. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you. Good to see you.
I guess there's nothing else to say after that introduction.
All right. Take care.
Greg, we have viewers from the Signature Real Estate Companies and beyond that like to get to know our vendors and partners and affiliates. And you have been the longest standing and the most successful vendor-partner relationship we've ever had at Signature.
Thank you.
And not only are we proud of the business-related work, but we're so proud of the friendship that we've developed over the years, which has been absolutely fantastic. Tell our viewers here at Signature and beyond a little bit about yourself and your incredible team at Signature Title.
Okay, thank you. Well, I've been practicing in Boca Raton since 1995. We focus pretty much exclusively at this point on real estate and title work, both residential and commercial deals. We do representation of clients for both the buyer side and the seller side for those deals that we're not particularly doing the title work on. I have a great staff of about 11 people, which includes 5 closers, 4 processors, as well as an associate attorney who's been with me for the past 4 years, and some additional support staff. So we take a very holistic approach to handling closings. There's no one person assigned to only one file. We work together as a team to organize and process all these files, and try to also give the value added of being attorney owned and operated. So that way we are able to tackle legal issues and other types of title issues that come up as they arise on a title closing.
The staff you have is excellent. I know you've spent a lot of time building that staff, and it's difficult here in the space of real estate to find super talented people. Tell us a little bit more about your team, because I think your team is what really makes Signature Title shine, because they allow you to do business development, work with the customers, because the team is getting the job done in the office. Talk about them just a little bit.
Well, thank you. You know, the entrepreneur Richard Branson once said, you know, don't take care of your clients, you need to take care of your employees, because your employees are going to take care of your clients. And that's kind of been my philosophy for the past dozen or so years in building a team together to handle Signature Title and the volume of work that we do. So I have an associate attorney, Ben Werber, who's been with me for 3 years, who comes from a foreclosure background. I have 5 closers who I've worked with, who are all within about 10 feet of me. You've been to my office, you see where my closers sit and where my office is. I have an open door policy. Very rarely is my office door closed. And all 5 of my closers are within between 10 to 15 feet of my door, and I'm able to hear them on a day in, day out basis working with your clients. So much of my job entails backing them up and working together. They're constantly coming back and forth to work with me on certain title issues and clearance issues, as well as problems that come up in a closing. I have great processors who you know, get in front of the clients as early as possible and work the files and make sure that the clients know what we're doing every step of the way. So, you know, grooming the team, backing up the team, you know, that's what we do. I don't hire generally inexperienced closers. I don't train closers from scratch. I tend to hire people who've been in the industry for at least 10, maybe 15 years or longer, is the majority of people that work for me closing files. And, you know, I try to build on that experience, is what we do.
And it shows. The reputation's unbelievable. We've just celebrated our 10,000th closing together. 10,000th people. It's unimaginable. Most people in their entire career, 30, 40 years, couldn't imagine 10,000 closings, and that's what we've been able to enjoy because of the efficiency, the proficiency, and the professionalism of Greg and everyone at Signature Title. Now, issues come up at closing that are beyond the scope of what's more traditional. Probate issues. We're in South Florida, there's a lot of senior citizens. Tell us about some of the nuances and things that come up of either people passing away, you've got wills, you've got trusts, you've got people with POAs that are trying to use POAs on someone who's passed away, which we know is a no-no.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, South Florida is particularly unique, and especially the way that we've built our business is particularly unique because the original platform for Signature was those Century Village and Kings Point communities, in the over 55 communities, so we would deal with a myriad of probate, trust, and other issues on a day in, day out basis. And many people, particularly if they're not from South Florida, they don't particularly understand what is needed to clear title. So a very routine issue is somebody from out of state whose parents owned a condo down here in South Florida. Maybe perhaps they'd open up a probate and they'd open up an estate in New York or Massachusetts or New Jersey or from wherever they're at, not realizing that there's a secondary probate issue that needs to occur here in the county where the property is owned. And those issues like that don't often come up until they go to contract. So what we try to do is we try to get the agents, as part of their training on a day in, day out basis, the knowledge to be able to review a contract and review some simple things to maybe vet to see what's up. A lot of people seem to feel that simply because there's a will and mom and dad left them the condo in the will, that they could go ahead and sell the condo. There needs to be a process by which anybody else in the world could get some type of due process that this person had passed away. So on many probates we will handle ourselves, particularly if they're simple and the only asset of the estate is the condo or the home that's being sold. And we'll do that quickly and at a very reasonable rate. For more sophisticated estates, we'll tend to refer those out and we'll work day in, day out with the attorneys that we refer to make sure that the closing is trying to stay on schedule.
If someone is looking to avoid a probate or an estate issue, and hopefully the person who owns the property is still living, I've heard people use the term ladybird deed, and there's some advantages to that. Could you explain that a little bit for our viewers?
Sure. What you're talking about are to try to change the deed so that way we could avoid probate by taking the property out of that person's estate or having it pass in a simple manner to their children. We often do that for our clients. By ladybird deed, what you're talking about is what's known as a life estate. And there's what's known as a simple life estate and a ladybird deed, which is an enhanced life estate. A simple life estate says, somebody deeds the property to their children, but retains what's known as a life estate during their lifetime, so that way they have the benefits of ownership. And then upon their passing, the property immediately vests in their children. The only problem with a simple life estate is that in order for that person to sell the property while they're still living, they would need to get the children alive. And if there's any issues with the children, they can't change title without the children being involved. So what the estate planning professionals did over the years, they created, and I believe they did this, they call it a ladybird deed, because it was an estate planning tool used by Lady Bird Johnson, the first, Lyndon Johnson's first lady. So what they did is they had it that the owner would grant the property to themselves, a life estate, with these enhanced powers, such as the full power and authority to sell, convey, do whatever they want with the property. And it's not until their immediate passing that the children have any interest in the property, so they could change it during their lifetime. In many of the 55 and older communities, that's been a very simple, safe, and more importantly, cost-effective tool. We do that routinely, mostly as a courtesy to clients of ours that we've worked with. The only caveat that I would say is that it shouldn't substitute for a more comprehensive estate planning and making sure that you have a will, you have as appropriate a trust, durable power of attorney, and more importantly, things such as healthcare proxies and pre-need guardian if you become incapacitated. A ladybird deed doesn't necessarily solve those issues. So that's the only caveat that I would make, is to make sure that people have good, solid estate planning. We've done some of that in the past because of all the real estate that we do. We kind of have a moratorium on that at the present time, but we refer out to estate planning attorneys that we work in conjunction with.
But that right there is a perfect example of why working with a title company owned and operated by an attorney and having attorneys in-house is so important. I'm always amazed at the complexities that come up in real estate transactions that, as an outsider, the buyer, the seller, feels should be so simple. Me as a real estate professional, they're yelling and screaming at us, get the job done, get the job done. They don't realize the complexities.
Right.
Here in Florida, you don't have to be an attorney to have a title company, but having an attorney that owns and operates a title company like you at Signature Title, with the power of the Gregory S. Gefen PA law firm behind you, can you tell us the advantages of that? Because it's quite a compelling case.
Well, we'd like to think that there's value added there. So if there's a probate, for example, that we just got finished talking about, if there's a probate that needs to be done, we could seamlessly handle it rather than having to start to look for another attorney to take that over. There's other issues that I'm able to give a legal opinion on, even though it might not be representing one party versus the other. And also as an attorney, I'm able to run interference between our office and the title underwriter to work through certain issues that come up. That's what I do the majority of my time on a day in, day out basis, is to be brought files that have legal issues, probate issues, guardianship issues, issues with prior deficiencies in the chain of title through the years, that I'm able to evaluate and come up with a solution with my title underwriter to clear those issues, or get an exception to override those issues based on facts that I determined. So I feel that having an attorney working that on a day in, day out basis is a value add in and of itself.
There's no doubt about it. I've seen it through so many complex closing processes. I've also noticed when you have the emotions that compound real estate transactions, whether someone's passed away or whether it's the place where I raised my kids or the place that I'm going to be buying to raise my future family, the emotions run wild. When you have an attorney present at the closing, I notice there's a level of calmness that is not quite as evident when it's just realtors or just title agents.
Yes, as one of my closers used to say, Mr. Greg, it looks like I got a buyer on the phone and he needs to hear from the deep-voiced attorney as to what's actually happening.
Right.
So
is that your stage voice you're using
that's
right now?
yeah, that's my stage voice. Yes. I'll be opening into Newport next week.
I like that. I like that. So, Signature Title, Gregory S. Gefen, PA, a very unique and special firm. We've heard the reasons why. What can realtors expect working with you in terms of the closing process, in terms of communication or presence and intimacy involved with the closing table itself? What should they be in store for?
Well, sure. The most important thing for any realtor or anybody to understand is that even though I have a big, expansive team, I'm at my desk most of the day, responding to emails, responding to phone calls. So if there's ever anything that needs to be escalated, if there's ever a question or an issue that come up, either myself or my associate attorney are there for you guys. And it doesn't matter who's working the file or where the file is in my closing process. Generally what we'll do is when a file is assigned to us, like many title companies, it'll be opened and looked at by a pre-closing processing department that I have and a file opener. You and your clients will get an initial email and an initial communication within the first day or so of sending us the contract, acknowledging that we received it. You'll get an introductory email with the flyer advising us, your clients, a little bit about the closing process and containing some frequently asked questions and answers, some Q&A, as well as an info sheet. And then we will go ahead and set about processing the file. If the file is closing during the normal routine and customary of time of anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks, we will go ahead and open up a file, circulate some information. Then there might be a lull period for a couple of weeks where you don't really hear too much from us, but you'll have to understand that we're doing a lot of stuff in the background, such as ordering the title commitment, ordering the lien search, reaching out to the homeowners association and determining who the management company is, getting what's known as a homeowners association or condo estoppel letter, as well as the survey, anything else that we need in order to clear title and write title. A little bit closer to closing, either one of my closers or if the file's still with my pre-closing processor, will be reaching out to the parties and the agents to, number one, confirm that the closing is still on track. Number two, figure out if they're going to be attending the closing, or if we have to do this as a mail away, or if there's any other things that we need to be aware of. And then about 10 or so days before the closing actually takes place, the file will be formally assigned to a closer who will reach out and do the final coordination and start actually compiling and comparing the closing docs, including but not limited to working with the buyer's lender. If there's a loan or a mortgage taking place in conjunction with the closing, that tends to take up the majority of the time and coordination, because as you're aware, Ben, through your other affiliate company, that the mortgage process is can be a lot complicated to navigate these days with all the additional rules and disclosures and everything that has to happen. A cash deal, there's about 10 documents and a closing statement that needs to be signed. On a mortgage deal, there's about 175 closing documents and things that need to be signed. So coordinating that tends to take up a lot of the time going into that final stretch for the closing.
I know if I'm signing a 175-page document, or even a 10-page document, I'm going to feel peace of mind having an attorney there with me, certainly because they have the knowledge and expertise. Greg, you're based in Boca Raton, as we are.
Yes.
We have a great partnership, but as you know, Signature has offices across the state, and we're now expanding outside of Florida as well. Between your network of partnered title closers that do notarization on a mobile basis, as well as you and Ben, you're comfortable closing real estate for us anywhere in Florida?
Anywhere in Florida, yes.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
And you have bilingual staff as well, which is helpful because, of course, we have a preponderance of so many Spanish speakers, particularly down south in Miami.
That's right.
Wonderful.
That's right.
Wonderful. Any last-minute thoughts for our viewers here at Signature Tube?
Well, I just wanted to thank all of you guys for your support, if you've been using us or if we've been working with you. And if you haven't, please feel free to give us a call, and we would love the opportunity and welcome the opportunity to work with you guys on your transactions into the future. Thank you very much.
Greg Gefen, ladies and gentlemen, top attorney here in South Florida, member of the real estate and probate section of the Florida Bar?
Yes.
See, I've been practicing and learning myself. Also one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, the person you want to have on your side of the closing table to help you navigate all the potential challenges that come up with the paperwork, the documentation, and the cost associated with closing real estate here in the state of Florida. I want to thank Signature Title and their unbelievable rock star team of closers, processors, support staff, and of course Ben Werber, the associate attorney that he mentioned as well. Very excited to continue building on this relationship, and I'm sure you and your customers, buyers and sellers alike, will have a dynamite experience working with Greg Gefen and his colleagues at Signature Title Group. Thank you.
One more thing, look
Yes,
for
sir.
us in Simply the Best magazine. I know a lot of your agents have been advertising in there, but we have a full-page ad in the coming issue, and we also are going to be profiled, I believe, in the January-February issue as well.
Simply the Best. It just seems fitting and perfect. So I want to thank Greg and his team for participating, of course, today. This has been a production of Signature Tube, hosted by myself, Ben Schachter, broker president of the Signature Real Estate Companies. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to check us out next time with another awesome professional from within the real estate trade area, specifically focusing on different experts in different trade fields. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.